Hello, everybody, and welcome to Out of Bounds. I'm here with Terrence Johnson, Kenny Matthews, and Malik Wright. Let's get right into the offensive and defensive player of the week, guys. And Kenny, offensive player of the week, Ranch View running back SaRodorick Thompson. You were there. 16 carries, 325 yards, 5 touchdowns. Tell us about it.
It was great to watch. I mean, first 3 carries, first one he rips it off for 62 yards. The second carry is 71 yards for a TD. His third carry is for 84 yards for a TD. So 200 yards, and 3 touches of the ball. I mean, it was one of those where they needed him. The quarterback got knocked out with a concussion. So they became very run-oriented, and they kind of leaned on the big fella. And, boy, he came through at a vengeance with 325 yards and, 5 TDs. The thing about him, he's just a one-cut kind of guy. I mean, he's good in space, but he's one guy that just puts that foot down, boy, lowers that head. And you and I both, we saw him the other day. I mean, that guy's chiseled. So, I mean, he's one to go find somebody to hit before he's trying to really elude them. And, I mean, he's got, I call it, kind of that game speed, but, he's a track guy, but I wouldn't call him a blazer. But, man, if he gets a little crease there, man, I mean, he's 15 yards down the field before you know it. So he's a heck of a guy. I mean, he's a really humble guy, too. So it's kind of nice to see somebody that, always deflects that attention to his teammates.
And to be that, you were looking up. We went over and gave him his offensive player of the week yesterday. And Kenny, what are you, 6 foot, 6'1", whatever? You're looking up at him. Okay, well, you were looking up at him. I mean, he was what, 6'3"?
He really looks like to me like a 3-4 linebacker to me. It looked like a rush in. He's not as big as obviously Jarrell Sowers is or somebody. But I mean, he's still a guy that's, for him to be a running back on that level. I mean, he looks the part. There's no question.
Yeah, he does. He looks like a defensive end at running back for sure.
Yeah, he does. I would have thought that he'd have more offers than that. Maybe he's one of those kind of guys that just, he doesn't go to the camps, doesn't go to the circuits to get notarized enough. But, one of those schools is going to get a darn good football player.
And it's early. I mean, still.
Yeah.
And then defensive player of the week from Plano, Caleb Anderson, 19 tackles, 2 fumble recoveries. I know Terrence and I saw Plano earlier this year, and I mean, as a team, I mean, they're coming in like Kenny said. We talked off camera. We have a McKinney undefeated and Plano undefeated. Who would have thought that? I mean,
that's when we got most of the good films, right? Remember those touchdowns? That was Hebron, right?
Right, and we both expected a Hebron win that night, and
Hebron had 2 touchdowns, 1 callback. He got it again. That was a good one. There's some sleepers out there.
And then he did this against Denton Guyer.
Yeah.
I mean, no slouch. I mean, and Malik, don't you see Denton Guyer this week?
Nah, not this week. This week I'm Brewer Northwest.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us a little bit about that Denton Ryan game. It was a crosstown rivalry. We expected Ryan to win big, but I mean, it was a close game a lot of the way.
Yeah, well, big rivalry. It was live on ESPN2, so special atmosphere with the fans. Ryan ended up winning 42-13, but the game was it was closer than that the first half. Spencer Sanders was 25 for 33 with 3 touchdowns, but they score was 28-15 at half, and the Denton had lost his top 2 running backs. They had Xylon Posey. He was hurt 2 weeks ago against Timber Creek, and then Corbin Shelley came in and he got hurt in the game, and that really took them out. They didn't have a lot of didn't have a lot of offensive weapons, and also the shout out to the Denton Ryan D line. They had 6 sacks and a forced fumble, so they made it tough.
And this week you've got Brewer at Northwest. I mean, Brewer. I mean, of course, Aledo is the class of that district year in and year out. But I mean, Brewer and Northwest, they've got good football teams. I was really surprised this week that Northwest lost to what was it, Eaton? Northwest Eaton, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they're both Brewer just came off. They won 63-3, in their last game against Saginaw. And Northwest hasn't scored under 30 points all year, so it's going to be a little shootout we have in Fort Worth.
That's exactly what I was going to say is, are you expecting a shootout? Because that's what I'm expecting.
Points should be flying. I'm expecting at least 30 each team, probably 40. Hopefully I get a good game this week. It's been a while since I've seen one.
Yeah, but you keep seeing Denton Ryan.
I know, and I was thinking, I was like, man, I hope these Denton boys can kind of make it close for a little bit, but they just put that foot on the gas, and their Denton Ryan's defense, like shout out to their whole defensive line, from the speed rushers to the run stoppers. They shut the game down. They controlled the game.
I want everybody give a shout out to Marcus intern Lauren Moore. Lauren, how's it going tonight?
It's going good. How are you?
Good. The Marauders coming off a 29-7 win over LD Bell. Marcus, I mean, they had a good scrimmage at the beginning of the year. They lost the first game, and then they came back with a win over a good team, Mansfield. They're 2-1, right?
So the Marauders right now are 3-1, with their only loss being a home game versus Arlington.
And Arlington is what, 4-0 now?
Yes.
With big wins over Marcus and South Lake Carroll.
Yes.
And South Grand Prairie.
That's
And
right.
they beat North Crowley.
I noticed y'all have two quarterbacks that play quite a bit. Is it Noel and Maxwell? Tell me the difference between the two.
Well, Rashid Noel, he has a bit of a stronger arm. He's more willing to scramble in the pocket, which doesn't always end up working out for him. And with him on the field, it's kind of more effective to the offensive line, gets those boys able to show how well they can really be in pass protection. It gets the ball out to guys like Blake Coven and Gage Anderson, who just really have shown a large presence with some deep passes. And Xavier Maxwell, his mobility allows a more increased rushing attack, which whenever you have Justin Dinka followed by a strong rushing quarterback, just really powers through rushing and forces a D-line to get back there, which is very hard to do with that offensive line. And neither one of them have had an interception either, which is a plus for both of them.
I was going to bring that up. I mean, 0 interceptions between the two of them. I mean, they've only thrown one touchdown each, but 0 interceptions. But a lot of that is the offense runs through Justin Dinka, and Justin Dinka, almost 200 yards a game. I mean, the success of the Marcus offense it goes through Justin Dinka, correct?
Yes, it does. Just now, this is going to be the 5th game of the season, and he's already at 7.7 yards per carry, and really just powering through offensive line, able to make some cuts for himself and just work his way through there.
Because it's a young offensive line, am I right?
Yes. There's a lot of juniors and just first-year starters, those that are on varsity. So even the seniors are first-year starters. Besides Osborne, really, no guy started the full season last year.
And is there a big game going on over there this week?
Yes, this week is Battle of the Axe, which is Marcus versus Louisville. Last year's score was 41-14 Louisville, and the year prior to that, Marcus had won 9 years in a row before losing. And last year, Marcus's defense kind of gave up. Offense was able to have about 264 yards, and Louisville able to have 384. Just defense kept pushing, and Louisville wasn't forced to any turnovers in any way.
So who's going to win the Axe this year?
Definitely Marcus this year. They're
Okay.
redemption.
And you're not playing any favorites or anything, right?
Not at all.
Okay. Lauren, go ahead and tell us who you think will win each game.
I would say Justin Northwest to win the first one. We played them in the scrimmage, and they played pretty well. Their offense was able to put up some points despite Marcus's defense really trying to push them down. And then I'd pick South Grand Prairie just because they've done a lot, even though they really they're one of those that it's a mess, but they'll get through it. And then I'd have to pick Geyer over Plano East, just because what I've seen of them, they're in a rivalry game like this, because a lot of schools up in Denton have started rivalry with Planos. They'll be able to push through. And then Mansfield at Arlington, with Mansfield's chaotic game against Marcus and then Arlington's win against them, I could see Arlington definitely able to push that one through. And then I'd have to pick Duncanville over Cedar Hill, because even though Cedar Hill in the past has been such a powerhouse, their mess of a games, such as the ones against Allen, really just put Duncanville over the edge there.
I agree with that.
I don't.
Okay, and Malik, Brewer and Justin Northwest, this is your game. Who's going to win it?
All right, well, it's going to be a shootout, but I think that Northwest prevails in the end with that one. Quarterback Prince Muvala, he has 13 touchdowns this year. I think they'll outlast him in the end. I got Geyer over Plano East after Geyer's tough loss last week. These next 3 games were tough. But I'm gonna go with North GP over South, just with it's been a long time since they've beat South. It's been a long time since they've been better than South, and there's no better time than right now to beat them. I'm gonna go with Arlington High over Mansfield, and the toughest one, Duncanville, is in Cedar Hill. Duncanville has something special going this week, but I'm gonna run with Cedar Hill for a bounce back.
Only time I throw them horns up.
Oh, it's gonna be a
Only
tough
time.
game, and it's really a toss up. And I could argue that Duncanville is gonna win the game too, but
You could.
I
can't.
feel like hopefully the motivation off the DeSoto loss.
Not to cut you off, but I like that. Yeah. That DeSoto loss. You hit it on the nail right there, kid. 21-7. State champs. Come on. Something's wrong right there, Randy. Cedar Hill ain't got all that, but Carlos Lynn ain't no just pushover either. It comes to coaching. Them young kids.
To me, it's
And we're not to you
upset.
yet.
I'm
To me,
sorry.
it's a-
I'm
it's a
sorry.
must
I thought I was
win.
on NFL Network or something.
It's a must win for Cedar Hill. I'm gonna put it that way. When you losing to 3 of your toughest opponents at the beginning of the year, I think that'll deflate them if they lose. So big chance for Duncanville to knock them mentally out of the season right here. So hope for a good game. Whoever gets to see that one, seeing a barn burner. Nice one.
Oh, I agree. I think that's the game of the week.
I'm gonna have my A game on. I'm gonna come back next week and tell y'all how Cedar Hill upset Duncanville in headlines. Stay tuned.
Okay. Well, now it's Matt and Riley. Talk to me
Hold on,
about this.
How's it going?
How y'all doing?
Pretty good. How's it going?
So y'all saw Irving at Duncanville last week, and of course, I mean, Duncanville 48-7. I have a feeling Duncanville was playing their reserves in the second half. Talk to me about it, Matt.
Well, let's just say their third string played most of the second half. Their backups played most of the second quarter, and their starters kind of got out right after the first quarter. I don't think people really understand how good Duncanville is right now, but they'll have to beat Cedar Hill and DeSoto to prove to everybody how good they are, and I think they're capable of it. But time will tell, and everybody can keep on watching. And what I already know, and what I've already seen, is a team that's ready for the next level, and that's Duncanville, and they got plenty of talent. And anybody that sees them play, you'll see they have so much talent. It really doesn't matter. They can score with anybody.
Riley?
Before seeing this game, I thought they were maybe going to play second in the district, but now I strongly believe that they're capable of beating DeSoto this year, and I think they they have a good chance of going 10-0 in this district.
Oh, that's bold there.
It is, Bo. Can I say
No,
something?
but I mean, I agree with him. Duncanville lost to Allen in the playoffs last year, and they have a good majority of their defense back. They're going to be they'll be tough for anybody to beat.
I can't shut up for nothing, but let me tell you the Achilles heel kind of for Duncanville. Even though he's the greatest coach and hold the record, samples. Sometimes the coaching, man, deeper he gets. I witnessed it since Lincoln, since Skyline. He's a good coach, but for some reason, you want to blow games, coach. You disrespected my Skyline school. They could have won them games, man. I should have been a coach, Randy. He hurt my feelings. don't know if I can do this interview.
He's making history right now. That's what he's
I'm
doing.
gonna make ends with him, and we're gonna squash it. Give me a good
Let's
interview.
talk to now we got I guess Matt is a Grand Prairie alum and Riley's going to South Grand Prairie. So let's talk about that game.
Yeah, so this Friday, we've been knowing about this game since we were kids. I mean, it's a game everybody in the whole city goes to. It's bragging rights, it's everything. Granted, Grand Prairie really hasn't had success against South in a long time, except for the fact that Grand Prairie has 7 D1 players now, and it's just a different vibe over there. They got brand new everything. They got a brand new field house. They got brand new jerseys. It's a different vibe over there. Everything's new. They got a few new players that moved in. It's just kind of cool and special over there, and they don't really know what they got yet until they play South, and they feel like they can beat South this year. They feel like they have enough what it takes to get the job done, and that kind of leads me into my picks. I'm going to pick Grand Prairie over South. I'm going to get them by field goal by 3 points.
Okay, well, like Matt was saying, I think GP is a really good thing going on over there, and I think this is the best chance they have of beating South Grand Prairie in who knows how long. I think last time they beat them was 2011, if I'm correct. I'm not sure, but South Grand Prairie's had a lot of success in this series, but I feel like GP really has their best chance of beating them. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it this year.
And I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that DeSoto at MacArthur.
Yeah, so that game we're going to have that. We're going to have that game tomorrow night. Me and Riley are going to be there. So yeah, I got DeSoto winning by at least 45. It's gonna. Hey, it's just how it goes sometimes. You have teams that are they just don't have the same amount of talent, and that's just the truth to be told.
And MacArthur, their best chance would have been 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. Well, now that they're in the district with these teams that they're with, instead of being over there with the other teams they were with a couple years ago, I mean, you got to play against not only DeSoto, Duncanville, and Cedar Hill. But then now you got Grand Prairie and South that are pretty good now too. So you're not making the playoffs. That's why the Irving schools are just not making the playoffs. There's just too many good teams in this district.
That's what I'm saying. Throw those kids in baseball, man, because it's tough.
But the Irving school teams kind of fell off, kind of like a DISD in the sports and football. They're not powerhouses.
They sure did.
So they get trampled. That's a little free game for DeSoto. Just better get ready.
Hey, MacArthur, don't let them do you like that, guys. Control the offense. If DeSoto can't get the ball, they can't score, guys. So
that's true. Cedar Hill got a blueprint, 21-7. I'm telling you, they're going to meet again.
Man.
They shall meet again in Jerry's world.
They got to strap it up just like everybody else.
Matt, now you can do your pick six.
All right. So my
Brewer
six.
at Northwest.
Okay, yeah, Brewer at Northwest. I'm going to pick Brewer because I know they got some talent over there. And okay, who else?
Now you got your SGP at Grand Prairie.
Okay, of course I got Grand Prairie winning that game by field goal.
Okay, Geyer at Plano East.
I got Plano East winning that game because I liked how they beat Jesuit. So yeah, I got Plano East winning that game.
We only got 5 in our pick 6.
Yeah,
Mansfield at Arlington. Pick 5
Mansfield.
tonight.
That's
Mansfield. My fault.
I got Mansfield beating Arlington because Mansfield is just too good. They're just too good. They got too many good players, and they're gonna get it. They're gonna get it going.
Duncanville at Cedar Hill.
Duncanville. I got Duncanville beating Cedar Hill by 2 touchdowns.
Whoa!
28-14.
Strong.
28-14.
I hate
Riley?
to see that.
Brewer at Northwest.
I'm gonna go with Brewer. Like you said, I've heard that they got some good talent on there, and I feel like they'll win that game.
South Grand Prairie. This is a lot of pressure going to South Grand Prairie, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to remain on both sides in this one, but I think South Grand Prairie will win. I got them winning 21-17. I think South Grand Prairie will get up big in the first half. I just don't think Grand Prairie will find their way back.
Geyer at Plano East.
I'll pick Geyer for that game. They've shown me over the years that they've been a really strong team, and I don't think they'll lose 2 in a row.
Mansfield at Arlington.
I'm gonna pick Mansfield, and Mansfield. To me, I got a chance to watch them early in the year, and Mansfield's one of the best teams in the state, in my opinion.
And Duncanville and Cedar Hill.
I got Duncanville winning by a touchdown, 24-17. Duncanville, I got a chance to watch them last week, and they're a really strong team. Like I said, I feel like they'll go 10-0 in this district.
Okay. Then we're going to move on to Terrence. Let's talk about that Lake Highlands win over rival Berkner last week.
Oh, that
48-23.
That was a good one right there. Corey Fulcher came back off of that leg
Texas
injury.
Tech commit.
Texas Tech. Pretty well-rounded kid. I remember we did the media day, and I was just coming back to me like, dang, it was that kid and that kid, because I never seen him play. But then they had the quarterback, Jackson Thompson, pretty strong arm, and Lonnie Jordan just let him fly with the ball. He let him chunk it. He had no hose bar, just boom, all right, gunslinger. And he's a junior. So, I mean, on that night, it was a pretty high-flying game. They passed the ball pretty decent. I think they may have a chance at kind of being up there in that district because they got Skyline this week. I know Jedge was in the district, and last year they wasn't that good, but they look pretty good. And our boy, Tremaine Bell, he was eating nasty out there. I was like, whoa, I met his mom. She's like, oh, you in the ring? Oh, yeah, his son. He well-rounded kid. He committed, actually, to University of Texas San Antonio.
Right.
Last week, so that's.
I've never seen a program that, I mean, they're up and coming. They got there quick. I mean, as far as like the Texas States and the Stephen F. I think they jumped ahead of all those schools like that. I mean,
they did. They sprung, and that was like unexpectedly seen because they was kind of down last year. But
so tell me that South Lake Carroll Flower Mound game last week, a lot closer than I expected. What was going on?
TJ McDaniel held him to 22 yards in the first half. So Will Bowers took it on his shoulders. He threw for about $150 and ran for about $150 in the first half. They had a stout defense, Flower Mound. They didn't go away. But I think the key was Will, because in the second half, he ended up with 192 yards, only 8 shy of his 200 a game rushing. And I talked to him. He said, hey, the intensity, I kept at it. Coach say we're resilient. He's jacked, man. He look like the moose out there. Like, man.
He's only a junior. He's only a junior.
With a little hair back.
And he's got speed too. I mean,
yeah.
And you're right. I mean, he's strong as an ox, and he's got speed.
Yeah, I like that kid. He's a workhorse, man. And to see them come back, because Flower Mound was about to pull an upset. They was at home. And I don't know what Hal told them at halftime, but he rushed. Even Will Bowers, he threw to, I think Wills Myers was his go-to guy. They shut down Cade. Mickens caught a pick. RJ, turnover. That was a key.
RJ, he's just a sophomore, right?
Yeah, he's a sophomore.
Right. He played a lot as a freshman. Okay, and you got I think you've got the game of the week. Duncanville at Cedar Hill. And now we know your cousin played at Cedar Hill, but he's not there anymore.
I'm not biased.
Okay.
Going off what I see.
Should be dismissed with that Longhorn sign, though.
I should be, but I like a good up and coming program, even if they're up and coming. I mean, I know I wouldn't say it's a far shot though.
But who's gonna win?
I know Duncanville's powerful, but from me going to these games and I'm expecting like, oh, they're gonna automatically win. And when I see the other team play, I look at it like, hey, this team they didn't just come to show up and just run up and down the field. They execute. And I've noticed that with other teams. Like I picked South Lake to go, and I picked the game before to go, and I see these other teams I never really know nothing about. I know a little bit about Cedar Hill history, but I just see how Carlos Lynn works hard with the men. And last week, 21-7 to DeSoto, that's a statement. Duncanville haven't won the championship, mind you. Yeah, they're high flying, they this and that. The same Cedar Hill kind of depleted last year, beat Duncanville in the game. Yeah, when my cousin was there, but they were kind of depleted. They didn't have a lot of weapons. They played DeSoto hard the year last year before DeSoto won championship, and they didn't really have a lot of weapons. So now it seems like they're coming into their own second half of the season. Might be some upsets brewing. Carlos Lynn, he's a good coach. He got some troops that lock in.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He wanted to lock in. It may fold, but to hang with DeSoto, that's a big statement for me. So that's why I'm going.
But he's facing a good coach too.
Yeah, I like Samples. He's a good winning coach, mind you. He can win a lot of games. A lot of games, Randy.
lot of
I've been knowing
games.
him since Lincoln High School. Nothing against the man, but sometimes, coach, some of them decisions you make, deeper you get in them rounds, you can't have the Jason Garrett playbook. Is basically what I'm saying. You be able to call some good plays and execute your players. That's what he's known for.
It wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault that he didn't get that onside kick call right.
Hey, but you 4th and 500, coach. You got Kyler Murray right here. You gonna give him half the field? You gonna give him Trill half the field? Hit the Fox. The Fox was supposed to come out.
But
I knew it was over.
But the quarterback got hurt, and that's like 3 years ago or whatever, 4 years ago. And
we had championship.
We got to do the pick 5, which is supposed to be the pick 6 that only listed 5 games. Brewer at Northwest.
Is that for me?
Yeah.
Line picking. Let me see. Northwest. I say Northwest because of their hospitality to me back in the day. I don't know too much about Brewer. Is that Arlington Brewer?
No, that's they're out in Fort Worth area.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
You just insulted Dan and Mark. That's where they live.
Yeah, you did. They just clicked off.
I'm just learning my read.
All right, South Grand Prairie and Grand Prairie.
I'm going with the SGP because of my boys right here, Matt and the stud Riley. Where are you, Riley? Hey, Riley's a stud. We was at the Mansfield game. He got fans in the stand. Riley. I'm like, whoa. Good kid, though. SGP, though, the Warriors. Oh.
But Matt's a Grand Prairie graduate. You're
a Grand Prairie graduate, but you do South Grand Prairie schools.
Right.
So you the Golden Gophers.
How about Guy at Plano East?
Whew, it's Plano East. That's the Burgundy team, huh? Against the Wildcats.
No, they're the black and gold
Blue team. Yeah, the black. Yeah, they're both 3-1, I believe. No, 2-2. Guy's 2-2, and Plano East is 3-1, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Plano East. That's where the defensive end Jackson kid went, huh? Jeff Coat.
No, Jeff Coat went to Plano West.
West, yeah.
East, West, and the Plano.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna roll Plano. They never did nothing to me. They let me live in their city for a little while.
Mansfield at Arlington.
I'm gonna stay with Mansfield because I stay by those tracks sometimes. They might run me out the city. So but for real, Mansfield, that's a former Boomer Sooner school, Kennedy Brooks. So yes, all those good picks.
Boomer Sooner.
And Duncanville at Cedar Hill. You've already
said.
Go ahead.
Cedar Hill, Longhorns, tight game, but if anything happens, it may be penalties or turnovers. I don't see too many turnovers, but I think they can stick with Duncanville. Duncanville going to come out there, but never know. If they stop them and they get a little momentum, Duncanville can stay in there. I know how Samples gamble and play. I've seen it. I've seen a depleted Cedar Hill. Like I said, I'm not just being biased. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but they don't call me the right call on Twitter for nothing. But that's just my gut feeling that Cedar Hill is going to get them a victory.
All right, we're going to move on to Kenny. Kenny, tell us about this 4-0. It's 4-0 Arlington team, right?
That is correct.
41-30 win over North Crowley last week.
Good game. I mean, tale of two halves. First half, Arlington Colts came out. First 3 possessions went down, got TDs, kicked a field goal there at the end of the half, go in with a 24-3 lead at halftime. One of the better backs in the state is Kenlon McCray. He had a great game, over 200 yards rushing, almost 100 yards receiving that night. Real good kid, humble kid. We interviewed him afterwards. Real humble kid, kind of shy, but boy, you get him on the football field, he is not shy. He takes the tough yards up the middle. He can bounce it outside. But what makes them go is obviously DeMonte Davis, their quarterback. I think that they are one of the most efficient guys of a fast-paced offense. They get their plays in. Literally, we were running. They get a first down. Roger and I are running to try to get a spot to videotape, the next play. We couldn't believe how quickly they got the ball off. They also got that very underrated sophomore, Jahari Rogers. That kid he's just a sophomore, man. He's got major game. He got Roger, our cameraman from FridayNightGlory.com. I'm going to give him a shout. He got a great shot of him making that one-handed catch in the end zone on the other side, which was, but with Arlington, you could tell that the second half when they came out, they were just not focused. North Crawley got a couple turnovers and made it more respectable late. But talking with Coach Peach afterwards, he said basically they need to finish games better. He said that, they too many penalties, not efficient on third down in the second half is really what caused that with the turnovers. I think they're one of those teams that I'm not sure that they can get defensive stops, to win that district or not. That's the one area that I'm kind of concerned about. But the Colts are back on the map, locally again. I mean, they were a storied program for many years. Last 4 or 5 years kind of dropped off, but you could tell that the community's behind them. And I mean, they had a lot of fans at their game last night. And I can remember going to some Colt games just a few years ago, man. And it was very rare to have, couple hundred people there at the game. So I think that they're one of the people that, they're 4-0. I think playing Mansfield this week is going to be huge for them. If they can beat a good Mansfield team here, this weekend, they'll be reckoned with then. I think a lot of people, I noticed that they're not even ranked in the top 20 in the Dallas Morning News locally, and that kind of surprised me with them being 4-0. So,
Exactly.
I
can go back a few years to when Bowie actually played them at Cowboy Stadium in 2015, and it was empty on their side. So just to see them coming from that to where they are now, it's definitely a big game for them, and they need to win games like this and win games like Barton and Mansfield to put the program where it needs to be.
Well, you could tell that Coach Peach was really excited about, just the development of the team. I think, not to speak for him, but you could tell he was surprised that they were 4-0 and they were that good, offensively. I think that he's one of those guys, though, that he said, I've got to get these guys to be able to concentrate. They have not played a full 4-quarter game. That's what he kind of said off camera is we got to get these guys to play 4 quarters because, as you go in district, you take a quarter off, that might be enough for you to lose a game. And I think that's what he's trying to get those guys focused into doing. North Crawley, I wasn't expecting much from them on Friday night, but they have a lot of really good skill position players in North Crawley. They weren't very good on the lines, but, they had some guys that they had some motors, and I think that kind of caught them off guard because they had just as much speed as Arlington High did. And I think that caught them off guard during the second half.
Well, Kenny, supposed to be the pick 6, but only did pick 5. So Brewer at Justin good. Northwest.
I'm going with the Texans of Justin Northwest because of my man, Daryl Simpson.
Okay.
Offensive tackle going to Boomer Soonerland.
That's true.
Of course, I got to go with him.
Boomer. They got a pretty good quarterback, and they've got a good running back who actually week 2 was our offensive player of the week.
Yep. I also think it's going to be a shootout. I think
that
game's going to be something like 45-35, something like that, 45-38. I can see that. I think it's going to be up and down. Not so sure about Justin Northwest defense yet. Not so sure about them, but they could score with about anybody in the Metroplex, though, for certain. They can do that. South Grand Prairie and Grand Prairie, I'm going with the Gophers. Finally, they're going to finally beat South Grand Prairie 6 or 7 years. Sorry, Riley. Didn't mean to say that to hurt you. But, yes, I think the Gophers finally do beat them. I think South Grand Prairie just lost way too much talent last year. That's hard to replace 5-star and 4-star guys and still be good the next year unless you are a DeSoto, unless you are, one of those type teams, the Katie's of the world that just, Allen's. It's hard to do that. It's very hard to do that. Geyer and Plano East, Geyer's going to come up with the big win, I think. Geyer realizes that they can't slip up anymore in district if they want to have a shot at winning that district. They're already 1 game behind Plano, so they need to win out and hope that Plano has stubs their foot along the rest of the way. I think Geyer comes back with a big game after the tough loss, 38-36 to Plano, on the last play of the game. I mean, they made a great comeback just to get back into that game. They just didn't get the 2-point diversion for it to go to overtime. I think Geyer does win. Mansfield and Arlington, that's the game I'm maybe doing on Friday night. I'm going to go with the Colts in another big shootout. I think it's going to be 38-35. Colts win in that game. Mansfield, I think, though, will give them that will probably be one of their big tests in district going forward for them. We'll see if the Colts are really all about what they are. kind of hard not to root for the Colts after you spend some time with them last week because they were really good guys. I mean, Coach Peach is about as good as anybody to work with. And the 3 guys that we interviewed, those guys were just, so humble and so respectful. Got to pull for people like that. I love seeing that. And then the big game of the week, Duncanville and the Longhorns. I can't ever pick the Longhorns regardless of who they are. I'm going with the Panthers. I think the Panthers will beat them. I'm thinking it's going to be 28-17 Panthers.
Nick Harris, you were at the most exciting game of the week last week. 28-7 Heath over Rockwall. Last play of the game. Talk to us about it.
It was incredible. I mean, Rockwall pretty much had the upper hand for the entire game. And then Heath came in the last 8 minutes and just scored at will, and then scored the winning touchdown as time expired. I mean, I've been to many games, and that was the best one by far. Especially with it being a crosstown rivalry, there was so much in the atmosphere at that game. It was just insane, indescribable.
And what's going on? North Mesquite and Heath this weekend. What do you see there?
I actually see a pretty good game. Probably a defensive struggle on both sides. They both have pretty good defenses. Alex Vigil, it's going to be key for the quarterback of North Mesquite, Alex Vigil, to get going for North Mesquite to have a good chance at winning. But if I had to favor a team, it'd be Heath. And if Heath can win this, they go 3-0 in the district for the first time since 2011. That's huge for them to get back into the playoffs. It's going to be in North Mesquite, so North Mesquite will have that home upper hand, and Rockwall Heath's crowd doesn't travel well, but hopefully they will after last week's incredible win. But I see a pretty good game this week for sure.
And who's Rockwall got this week?
Rockwall has Longview.
Let me see it.
Get them country boys.
It's not in my notes there. Let me see.
What happened to Rockwall, man? They were high flying. They started getting knocked off.
Yeah, Rockwall's got a great team. They can't capitalize down the stretch, and it's frustrating. But they have a great offense. Their offense is incredible.
I feel like he's kind of come out of nowhere, proving people wrong in game after game.
Okay, it is Rockwall and Longview.
All right.
Good. Longview Lobos. Bobby Taylor.
So talk about
We're
Rockwall
country,
and
bro.
Longview, Nick.
Rockwall and Longview, it's probably going to be an offensive shootout. They both have pretty good offenses. Longview is trying to regroup after they got blown out in the opening week of district against Mesquite Horn, but they rebounded with a win against Tyler Lee last week. And both of them are looking to get to 2-1 in district. So it's a huge district game, as the winner kind of has an upper hand on getting in that top 4 for District 11. And the loser is going to have some regrouping to do before the stretch here in District 11 play. As next week they have an off week, so they can pretty much throw everything they got at Longview, and Longview can do the same against Rockwall and try to heal any injuries over this next 2 weeks as well.
Okay, now it's supposed to be a pick 6, but we only got pick 5 here, okay?
All right.
Brewer, Justin Northwest, who you got?
Justin Northwest.
South Grand Prairie and Grand Prairie.
I'm going to have to go with South in that one.
Geyer at Plano East.
Oh, I'm going to have to go with Plano East. They're looking pretty good this year.
I like you already, Nick. We got the same mind.
Mansfield, yeah, but you lost a bunch of games last week, Terrence. Mansfield at Arlington.
Say that again?
Mansfield at Arlington.
Mansfield.
And then the game of the week, Duncanville at Cedar Hill.
Duncanville by 3 touchdowns, probably.
Whoa.
That's the only one off we have.
Yeah, it's more bold than that.
Everything else is perfect.
I need to do my pick 5 of the pick. It's supposed to be pick 6. I'm going
You
with,
lost, Randy. I didn't pick last week.
No, but none of us did. But we all had teams, and apparently Matt kept score.
Hold on. Just for the record, me and Randy, when we were picking games, when we were saying we'll come back to these games and talk about them, how we did last week. The ones that we picked, me and Randy were undefeated. I mean, I picked Coppell. You guys all picked Jesuit. How could you do that? I'm just like, Coppell.
Yeah, seriously.
You're gonna lose the patch this week, son.
No, I'm not gonna lose anything.
I've got Northwest. I've got Grand Prairie.
There you go.
Plano East, Mansfield, and Duncanville.
There you
Very
go.
smart. Very smart. I love those picks.
I just need South to win so I can be ahead of all y'all.
I can't wait till I go 5-0 on all those picks.
That's it for Out of Bounds this week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for Terrence Johnson, Malik Wright, Kenny Matthews, Riley Byers, Matthew Davidson, and Lauren Moore for joining us tonight. Shout out to Taylor Mayer back in the studio producing, and get well, Beverly Taylor.